What's up everybody, 0-8 Yasuo here, coming at you with a brand new video where we break down the last 10.18 coverage, where we're going to be telling you the top 3 performing champs in every single role. Now, keep in mind though, we're going to be angling this targeting platinum and below, because there are definitely certain champs that perform well in low elo, but fall off super fast when you get higher up. The perfect example of this is Garen mid. He isn't played very much, and then the moment he gets near platinum, basically everything about him falls off a gigantic cliff. There's a tons of reasons to avoid stuff like that, and we will give you the best applicable information so that you don't make those mistakes and you still main a champion that scales pretty well. But speaking of scaling, GameLeap.com is going to help you scale the levels of League of Legends with ease, where you're going to be able to climb the ranked ladder with advanced tips and tricks, in-depth challenger level VOD reviews, and anything you need in order to climb. So do yourself a favor and go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, right off the bat, we're going to be kicking it off with the mid lane here. And the first champion that we have in mid lane is Vel'Koz. The build you're going to want is Flash Barrier, Comet, Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, Scorch, Magical Footwear, Biscuits Adaptive Armor, Ludens, Sorcerer's Shoes, Liandry's, Rabadon's, Xiona's, Void's Staff. Now, Vel'Koz has been creeping up the ranks for a while now. The main thing holding him back is just how difficult he is to actually play correctly. We all have seen those super sick montage plays where the Vel'Koz player just has all the math in the universe passing through their brain to hit all of the angles and skill shots. That's the max potential of Vel'Koz, and when you need to be at that level 24/7, he becomes pretty bad, if I'm being honest. Right now, however, this is not the case. Many lanes are relatively easy early on for Vel'Koz and allow him to scale really easily, and maybe you can even get some solo kills and take over the entire lane. Now, if you do actually have one of those free lanes, take Cosmic Insight rather than Biscuits. It'll be worth it every time you have those easy lanes. Now, because Vel'Koz has so much range and wants to play so far out, a lot of times you're not making use of GLP, so that's why you pick Ludens instead. Now, the next champion in mid, we gotta talk about Zed, the build being Flash Ignite, Electrocute, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter, Presence of Mind, Yumu's, Ionian Boots, Duskblade, Black Cleaver, Edge of Night, and Mortal Reminder. With the super supportive meta running rampant right now, it should not be surprising that Zed is doing very well. Even if you sink all of your damage into shields, your R makes the enemy explode to their deaths anyways. Since Zed has this unique strength, he has also been able to shine ever since he got buffs to his W, and with changes to other champions, now he really comes through pretty strong. Now, last up for mid, we have Annie. Now, Annie, her build would be Flash Ignite, Electrocute, Cheap Shots, Eyeball Collection, Relentless Hunter, Celerity, Scorch, GLP, Sorcerer's Shoes, Liandry's, Rabadon's, Void Staff, and Zhonya's. Now, Annie has been around for a while and is still hanging on. Here though, I want to make a point to help you guys be stronger, and this isn't only something that you could do on Annie. You can see we lead with a GLP on the item build, but if you look things up, you will probably see Ludens everywhere, and we spoke about this earlier with Vel'Koz. GLP just straight up does more damage than Ludens in burst situations, pretty much always within 2 spell rotations. It also gives you as Annie better catching power, which is absolutely huge. It even has synergy with Liandry's as well, so all in all, definitely you should start picking up Annie. Now, next up, we got to talk about top lane. Also sees a similar amount of movement as mid, and there's one champion here who has been around for a while, but unlike mid, he is holding on strong, Urgot. Now, the Urgot build should have Flash Teleport, Press the Attack, Triumph, Tenacity, Last Stand, Second Wind or Bone Plating, Overgrowth, Black Cleaver, Tabby or Mercs, Death's Dance, GA or Spirit Visage, Righteous Glory, and lastly, Mortal Reminder. Now, Urgot has been around on these videos for really too damn long. It's gotten to the point where Urgot feels quote-unquote solved, as if there's nowhere to go on him. There are some choices like between Second Wind for more sustain, or Bone Plating against burst, or choosing the right boots and defensive items against who you are fighting. We're not going to spend too much time on him here because he's already gotten plenty, but if you're interested in the Butcher, then you should head on over to our specific guide on him on the channel, so go check it out here. Now, next up we have Khalid, and Khalid is a really cool champion. We're going to be breaking down his build, which should be Flash Ignite, Conqueror, Triumph, Tenacity, Last Stand, Demolish, Bone Plating, Rush Tiamat, Black Cleaver, Titanic Hybrid, Tabby or Mercs, Ionian Boots, Death's Dance, Spirit Vistage, and Sterix. Now, on Keld, when you know what you're doing, it can be one crazy rodeo for both teams. You can adapt to a lot of different lanes, subbing in second rinse for sustain instead of bone plating, choosing Ionian Boots if you can't get 40% CDR any other way. You got a lot of wriggle room that can have a huge impact on your game. Just make sure you rush a Tiamat early on. Having it really long helps you out. Now, if it feels like you can't get a kill in your enemy lane, take Teleport instead of Ignite. Now, moving on to the next champion we gotta talk about is Fiora. Fiora's build should consist of Flash Teleport, Conqueror, Presence of Mind, Alacrity, Last Stand, Magical Footwear, Biscuits, Ravenous Hydra, Triforce, Tabby or Mercs, Death's Dance, Sterix, and Spirit Vistage. Now, you probably noticed that Fiora has tons of similarities to Keld in her runes and in her items. And while that is definitely true, there are also so many differences in their kit that the little things that all come together make Fiora into a counter to champions like her. You can out-sustain quite a bit of damage from other fighters, and that is exactly what you want to leverage in lane, aiming for those vitals and playing at your specific pace. You have the added bonus of shredding anyone no matter how tanky they are with your vitals and ultimate. Now, when you get Fiora down, she feels absolutely nuts in basically any game. Jungle has a new big man on the block with two other champions who have been excelling for a long time. Now, let's start with the new champion because, man, this Scorpion has some crazy flexibility. Let me just start with a little disclaimer though. This is the most popular build on Skarner, but it won't work every single time. Now, going into jungle, we have Skarner's kit where we're going to break down, which consists of Flash, Smite, Phase Rush, Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence, Water Walking, Magical Footwear, Cosmic Insight, Cinder Hulk, Tabby or Mercs, Triforce, Deadman's, Righteous Glory, and last but certainly not least, Death's Dance. Now, alright, you gotta listen up because there's a lot of info about to come your way about Skarner. First off, this champion is absolutely insanely good. You can play him in almost anything, but you do have to change your setup a lot of the time. Phase Rush Skarner with this build is able to get in and get out as long as there isn't a ton of hard CC. You are a bit squishier, but you do a lot more damage than you might expect. You could swap your items to be more tanky if you need, getting Glory instead of Triforce, grab a Sorellas, maybe an Adaptive Helm or a Deadman's, and still be really effective. You could even take that build, flip the runes entirely, and grab Predator, Cheap Shot, Zombie Ward, Ingenious Hunter, Nimbus Cloak, and Celerity, and just sprint it on the enemy carries every 40 seconds. Got people engaging onto you, and you just need to tank it all? Take the item build we just laid out, but again, change the runes. Going Aftershock. Are you going in and staying in just to dish out damage? Go Conqueror, but switch back to Trinity Force build. Trust me guys, this champion is insane, and take full advantage. You gotta be like water, just go with the flow. That was a ton of info on Skarner. Let's cover our other two junglers who shouldn't be surprising to see. The next one we gotta talk about is Nunu, which we're gonna break down the build for Nunu. Flash, Smite, Phase Rush, Nimbus Cloak, Celerity, Water Walking, Cheap Shot, Relentless Hunter, Cinder Hulk, Tabby or Mercs, Deadman's, Spirit Vistage, Locket, and Thornmail. Now, Nunu has been and is continuing to be an annoying champion with great engages. He can sustain through almost anything and is plenty tanky, allowing him to grab supportive items like Locket to keep his team alive and hitting enemies. Not much to say here. Nunu has been around for a while, with maybe just a tiny little difference here and there when Proto Belt Nunu was rampaging min and jungle. Now moving on to the next champion on the list, we have Fiddlesticks, whose build consists of Flash, Smite, Electrocute, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter, Perfect Timing, Cosmic Insight, Runic Echoes, Sorcerer's Shoes, Xeonis, Liandry's, Rabadon's, and Void Staff. Now ever since his rework, Fiddle has been a pretty dominating champion. It took a little bit for him to be mastered at first, but now he's gotten back to the status where when you see him in the champion select, you just don't want to have to deal with him. Now, he's not quite a nightmare in the spooky, scary sense, but a nightmare because of how easy it is to completely destroy a game on Fid. Now, there is also very little innovation on him, but the one thing that you should be thinking about is choosing between Leandris and Morellonomicon. If the enemy team has healing, make sure you counter it. Now, we're not done shaking things up yet because ADC has someone flying back into the top of bot lane. Now, I'm not saying I'm the faker of predicting league metas, but well, Miss Fortune is back. Now, Miss Fortune's build would be Flash Heal, Press the Attack, Overheal, Bloodline, Cut Down, Nimbus Cloak, Gathering Storm, Essence Reaver, Berserkers, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, GA, and finally, Mortal Reminder. Now, we talked about MF getting a couple of her nerfs reverted or partially reverted, and guess what? When that happens, you should probably expect them to come back hitting hard. Right now, Miss Fortune is rocking the exact same thing she did back when she was by far and away the best ADC. Right now is the time to take her into games and dominate the team fights with your crazy ultimate. Now, next up, we have Senna. Senna's build being Flash Heal, Glacial Augment, Magical Footwear, Biscuits, Approach Velocity, Presence of Mind, Bloodline, Mana Moon, Swifties, Black Cleaver, or Duskblade, Edge of Night, Infinity Edge, and lastly, LDR. Now, Senna has been scratching at the best of the best for a while now, with some buffs and nerfs into bot lane, and she's finally here. Senna ADC is hitting way harder than Senna support because you get the best of both worlds. High damage, high range, high healing, amazing UT. What else could you really ask for? If you take this build, occasionally choose Black Cleaver if the enemy has a lot of armor and you have the more physically damage dealing members on your team, then you should do well into basically any team composition ever. This flexibility is what makes Senna so ridiculously strong right now, so definitely pick her up. Now, last up on the ADC, we have Caitlyn, which her build would be Flash Heal, Fleet Footwork, Presence of Mind, Bloodline, Cut Down, Nimbus Cloak, Gathering Storm, Infinity Edge, Berserkers, Storm Razor, Rapid Fire Cannon, Static Shiv, Phantom Dancer. We have spent a lot of time about Caitlyn over the past few patches, but there is only one thing I want to address here because we need to spread the truth. There have been about 130,000 games of Caitlyn with Cut Down and about 600,000 games with Caitlyn overall. So you tell me, why are there 536,000 games with Doran's Blade start? Please do yourself a favor and start Cole with Cut Down. There are like 70k poor souls worldwide who are handicapping their early game. Share this everywhere. The truth needs to be said. Doran's Blade sucks with Cut Down 90% of the time, not 50% of the time. Thanks, this is the end of my TED Talk. With the unbridled rage for Caitlyn player injustice out of the way, we can talk about support. And this is sadly where things get a little bit stale, but there are some important things that have changed, and we definitely need to talk about them here to make you a better player. Now, first off, in support, we gotta talk about Janna. Her build would be Flash Ignite, Airy, Mana Flow, Celerity, Scorch, Taste of Blood, Relentless Hunter, Spell Thieves, Moby or Swifties, Athenes, Ardent Redemption, and Sorellis. Now, Janna has been around for a while, but there is one important change to her. Airy. Now, let me explain just to say that this comment absolutely sucks. You can look it up and you'll see, yeah, comment is popular, but look at Airy too. Let's go over the reasoning behind one over the other. Late game and mid game, when you are moving into a more defensive role, Comet isn't doing anything. The flexibility and usability of Airy is so much better than Comet, it's not even funny. Sure, when you walk into lane and throw a Windbird at the enemy team, you could be hyped up at all the free value that Comet's getting, but after the early game, it's gonna wear off fast. Please don't fall for it. The next up, we gotta talk about Soraka, whose build would be Flash, Barrier, Airy, Mana Flow, Transcendence, Scorch, Bone Plating, Revitalize, Spell Thieves, Athens, Moby or Swifties, Ardent Redemption, and Sorellis. Now in Soraka, you're probably seeing something very similar to Janna. And yeah, there is a lot, even down to the basics and even the exact same item build. Now, since we are there, let's break down the boot choice. Moby boots are fantastic for showing up for plays first or before they even happen, but Swifties add a ton of value inside of fights and plays that are basically coming all around you. Especially on enchanters like Soraka or Janna can survive just based on their ability to move around and avoid enemies. Having that tiny little bit of extra movement speed and slow resistance can be the difference between life and death. Now, moving on to the last, but certainly not least champion in this entire video, we gotta talk about Lulu, and Lulu's build would be Flash, Exhaust, Guardian, Font of Life, Bone Plating, Revitalize, Biscuits, Cosmic Insight, Relic Shield, Moby Boots or Swifties, Ardent, Athens, Redemption, and Mikhail's. Now, Lulu is one with an exception here in her build. Just because she focuses on supporting one person at a time for the most part, you are still getting those crucial items like Ardent and Athens, as well as making the classic boot choice before picking those up. Mikhail's is featured at the last slot here, to get your buff target going even through some of the toughest CC, but you can absolutely get it earlier. Now you should be getting it at the absolute earliest after Ardent. You should not need a Mikhail's that early on. With Lulu wrapping everything up, that's all for our champions 10.18. Now if you want to master any of these champions, then definitely go head down to the GameLeap website where we have in-depth challenger level VOD reviews over every single champion in this entire video. Do yourself a favor and go check it out in the links down below, and we can't wait to see you there. But that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for coming by. See you next time.